Welcome to the 1,000 Nights and One Night. Now, when it was the 716th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Zurach replied to Schumann, she hath sworn that none shall ride astraddle upon her breast, save the man who bringeth her the clothes of Kamar, daughter of Azariah the Jew, and her crown and girdle and pantaloof of gold." Ali cried, "If I do not bring her the clothes this very night, I renounce my claim to her." Rejoined Zurach, "O Ali, thou art a dead man, if thou play any pranks on Kamar." "Why so?" asked Ali. And the other answered, "Her father, Jew Azariah, he is a skilful, wily, perfidious magician, who hath the jinn at his very service. He owneth within the city a castle whose walls are one brick of gold and one of silver, and which is visible to the folk only whilst he is therein. When he goes forth, it disappeareth. He brought his daughter this dress I speak of from an enchanted treasure, and every day he layeth out in a charger of gold, and opening the windows of the palace crieth out, 'Where are the sharpers of Cairo, the prigs of all Iraq, the master thieves of Asian land? Whoso prevaileth to take this dress, 'tis his.' So all the long-fingered ones essayed the adventure, but failed to take it, and he turned them by his magic into apes and asses. But Ali said, 'I will assuredly take it, and Zainab shall be displayed therein.' So he went to the shop of the Jew, and found him a man of stern and forbidding aspect, seated with scales and stone weights and gold and silver and nests of drawers and so forth before him, and a she-mule tethered hard by. Presently he rose, and shutting his shop, laid the gold and silver in 2 purses, which he placed in a pair of saddlebags, and set on the she-mule's back. Then he mounted and rode till he reached the city outskirts, followed without his knowledge by Ali, when he took out some dust from a pocket purse, and muttering over it, sprinkled it upon the air. No sooner had he done this than sharper Ali saw a castle which was not its like, and the Jew mounted the steps upon his beasts, which were a subject jinni. After which he dismounted, and taking the saddlebags off her back, dismissed the she-mule, and she vanished. Then he entered the castle and sat down. Presently he rose, and opening the lattices, took a wand of gold, which he set up in the open window, and hanging thereto a golden charger by chains of the same metal, laid it in the dress, whilst Ali watched from behind the doors. And presently he cried out, saying, "Where are the sharpers of Cairo? Where are the prigs of all Iraq, the master thieves of Asian land? Whoso can take this dress by his sleight, 'tis his." Then he pronounced certain magical words, and a tray of food spread itself before him. He ate, and he conjured a second time, whereupon the tray disappeared, and yet a third time, when a table of wine was placed between his hands, and he drank. Quoth Ali, "I know not how I am to take the dress, except he be drunken." Then he stole up behind the Jew, when him in grip, but the other turned and conjured, saying to his hand, "Hold with the sword," whereupon Ali's right hand was held, and abode halfway in the air, hending the hanger. He put out his left hand to the weapon, but it also stood fixed in the air, and so with his right foot, leaving him standing on one foot. Then the Jew dispelled the charm from him, and Ali became as before. Presently Azariah struck a table of sand, and found that the thief's name was Mercury, Ali of Cairo. So he turned to him and said, "Come nearer. Who art thou, and what dost thou here?" He replied, "I am Ali of Cairo, of the band of Ahmad al-Danaf. I sought the hand of Zainab, daughter of Delilah the Wily, and she demanded thy daughter's dress to her dowry. So do thou give it to me, and become a Moslem, and thou wilt save thy life." Rejoined the Jew, "After thy death, many have gone about to steal the dress, but failed to take it from me. Wherefore, an thou deign to be advised, thou wilt be gone, and save thyself, for they only seek the dress of thee, that thou mayest fall into destruction. And indeed, but I not seen by geomancy that thy fortune overrideth my fortunes, I had smitten thy neck." Ali rejoiced to hear that his luck overcame that of the Jew, and said to him, There is no help for it, but I must have the dress, and thou must become a true believer. Asked the Jew, Is this thy will and last word? And Ali answered, Yes. So the Jew took a cup, and filling it with water, conjured over it, and said to Ali, Come forth from the shape of a man into the form of an ass. Then he sprinkled him with water, and straightway he became a donkey with hooves and long ears, and fell to braying after the manner of assines. The Jew drew round him a circle, which became a wall over against him, and drank on till the morning, when he said to Ali, I will ride thee to-day, and give the she-mule a rest. So he locked up the dress, the charger, the rod, and the charms in the cupboard, and conjured over Ali, who followed him. Then he set the saddlebags on his back, and mounting, fared forth of the castle, whereupon it disappeared from sight, and he rode into Baghdad till he came to his shop, when he alighted and emptied the bags of gold and silver into the trays before him. As for Ali, he was tied up by the shop door, where he stood in his assine form, hearing and understanding all that passed without being able to speak. And behold, up came a young merchant with whom fortune had played the tyrant, and who could find no easier ways of earning a living than water carrying. So he brought his wife's bracelets to the Jew, and said to him, Give me the price of these bracelets, that I might buy me an ass. Asked the Jew, What wilt thou do with him? And the other answered, O master, I mean to fetch water from the river on his back, and earn my living thereby. Quoth the Jew, Take this ass of mine. So he sold him the bracelets, and received the ass-shaped Ali of Cairo in part payment, and carried him home. Quoth Ali to himself, If the ass-man clap the panel on thee, and load thee with water-skins, and go with thee 60 journeys a day, he will ruin thy health, and thou wilt die. So when the water-carrier's wife came to bring him his fodder, he butted her with his head, and she fell on her back. Whereupon he sprung on her, and smiting her brow with his mouth, put out and displayed that which was better getter left him. So she cried aloud, and the neighbors came to her assistance, and beat him, and raised him off her breast. When her husband, the intended water carrier, came home, she said to him, Either divorce me, or return the ass to his owner. He asked, What hath happened? And she answered, This is a devil in the guise of a donkey. He sprang upon me, and had not the neighbors beaten him off of my bosom, he had done with me a foul thing. So he carried the ass back to the Jew, who said to him, Wherefore hast thou brought him back? And he replied, He did a foul thing with my wife. So the Jew gave him his money again, and he went away. And Azariah said to Ali, Hast thou recourse to knavery, unlucky wretch that thou art, in order that... And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased saying her permitted say. Now, when it was the 717th night, she continued, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the water carrier brought back the ass, its Jew owner returned him the monies, and turning to Ali of Cairo said, Hast thou recourse to knavery, unlucky wretch that thou art, in order that he may return thee to me? But since it pleaseth thee to be an ass, I will make thee a spectacle and a laughing stock to great and small. Then he mounted him, and rode till he came within the city, when he brought out the ashes and powder, and conjuring over it, sprinkled it upon the air, and immediately the castle appeared. He entered, and taking the saddlebags off the ass's back, set up the rod, and hung it to the charger, wherein were the clothes, proclaiming aloud, Where be the clever ones of all quarters, who may avail to take this dress? Then he conjured as before, and meat was set before him, and he ate, and then wine when he drank, after which he took a cup of water, and muttering certain words thereof, sprinkled it on the ass, saying to Ali, saying, Quit this form, and return to thy former shape. Ali straightway became a man once more, and Azariah said to him, O Ali, take good advice, and be content with my mischief. Thou hast no call to marry Zaynab, nor to take my daughter's dress, for 'tis no easy matter for thee. So leave greed, and 'twill be better for thee. Else will I turn thee into a bear, or an ape, or set thee on an Efrat, who will cast thee behind the mountain calf. He replied, I have engaged to take the dress, and needs must I have it, and thou must Islamize, or I will slay thee. Rejoined the Jew, O Ali, thou art like a walnut. Unless it be broken, it cannot be eaten. Then he took a cup of water, and conjuring over it, sprinkled Ali with somewhat thereof, saying, Take thou the shape of a bear. Whereupon he instantly became a bear, and the Jew put a collar about his neck, and muzzled him, and chained him to a picket of iron. Then he sat down and ate and drank, now and then throwing him a morsel of his orts, and emptying the dregs of the cup over him, till the morning, when he rose and laid by the tray, and the dress, and conjured over the bear, which followed him to the shop. There the Jew sat down and emptied the gold and silver into the trays before Ali, after binding him by the chain. And the bear there abode, seeing and comprehending, but not able to speak. Presently up came a man and a merchant, who accosted the Jew and said to him, O master, wilt thou sell me yonder bear? I have a wife who is my cousin and is sick, and they have prescribed for her to eat bear's flesh and anoint herself with bear's grease. The Jew rejoiced and said to him, I will sell him to this merchant, so he may slaughter him, and we be at peace from him. And Ali also said to him, By Allah, this fellow meaneth to slaughter me, but deliverance is with the Almighty. Then said the Jew, He is a present from me to thee. So the merchant took him and carried him to the butcher, to whom he said, Bring thy tools and company me. The butcher took his knives and followed the merchant to his house, where he bound the beast and fell to sharpening his blades. But when he went up to him to slaughter him, the bear escaped from his hands, and rising into the air, disappeared from sight between heaven and earth, nor did he cease flying till he alighted at the Jew's castle. Now the reason thereof was on this wise. When the Jew returned home, his daughter questioned him of Ali, and told her what had happened, whereupon she said, Summon a jinni, and ask him of the youth whether he be indeed Mercury Ali, or another who seeketh to put a cheat on thee. So Azariah called a jinni by conjurations, and questioned him of Ali, and he replied, 'Tis Ali of Cairo himself. The butcher hath pinioned him, and whetted his knife to slaughter him. Quoth the Jew, Go snatch him up, and bring him hither, ere the butcher cut his throat. So the jinni flew off, and snatching Ali out of the butcher's hands, bore him to the palace, and set him down before the Jew, who took a cup of water, and conjuring over it, sprinkled him therewith, saying, Return to thine own shape. And he straightway became a man again as before. The Jew's daughter, Kamar, seeing him to be a handsome young man, fell in love with him, and he fell in love with her, and she said to him, O lucky one, why dost thou go about to take my dress, enforcing my father to deal thus with thee? Quoth he, I am engaged to get it for Zainab, the coney catcher, that I may wed her therewith. And she said, Others than thou hath played pranks with my father to get my dress, but could not win it of him. Presently adding, So put away this thought from thee. But he answered, Needs must I have it, and thy father must become a Moslem, else I will slay him. Then said the Jew, See, O my daughter, how this unlucky fellow seeketh his own destruction, adding, Now I will turn thee into a dog. So he took a cup, graven with characters and full of water, and conjuring over it, sprinkled some of it upon Ali, saying, Take thou the form of a dog. Whereupon he straightway became a dog, and the Jew and his daughter drank together till the morning, when the father laid up the dress and charger, and mounted his mule. Then he conjured over the dog, which followed him as he rode towards the town, and all dogs barked at Ali, as he passed till he came to the shop of a broker, a seller of second-hand goods, who rose and drove away the dogs, and Ali lay down before him. The Jew turned and looked for him, but finding him not, passed onwards. Presently the broker shut up his shop and went home, followed by the dog, which when his daughter saw enter the house, she veiled her face and said, O my papa, dost thou bring a strange man into me? He replied, O my daughter, this is a dog. Quoth she, No, not so. 'Tis Ali the Korean, whom the Jew Azariah hath enchanted. And she turned to the dog and said to him, Art not thou Ali of Cairo? And he signed to her with his head, Yes. Then her father asked her, Why did the Jew enchant him? And she answered, Because of his daughter Kamar's dress. But I can release him, said the broker, and thou canst indeed do him this good office. Now is the time. And she said, If he will marry me, I will release him. And he signed to her with his head, Yes. So he took a cup of water, craven with certain signs and conjuring over it, and was about to sprinkle Ollie therewith, when lo and behold, she heard a great cry, and the cup fell from her hand. She turned and found that it was her father's handmaid who had cried out, and she said to her, O my mistress, isn't thus thou keepest the covenant between me and thee? None taught thee this art save I, and thou dost agree with me that thou wast not without consulting me, and that whosoever married thee should marry me also, and that one night should be mine, and one night should be thine. And the broker's daughter said, 'Tis well. When the broker heard the maid's word, he asked his daughter, Who taught the maid? And she answered, O my papa inquire of herself. So he put the question, and she replied, Know, O my lord, that when I was Azariah the Jew, I used to spy upon him, and listen to him when he performed his grammaring. And when he went forth to his shop in Baghdad, I opened his books and read them, till I became skilled in the Kabbalah science. One day he was warm with wine, and would have me lie with him, but I objected, saying, I may not grant thee this, except thou become a Moslem. He refused, and I said to him, Now for the Sultan's market. So he sold me to thee, and I taught my young mistress, making a condition with her that she would do naught without my counsel, and that whoso might wed her should wed me also, one night for me, one night for her. Then she took a cup of water, and conjuring over it, sprinkled the dog therein, saying, Return thou to form of man. And straightway was restored to his former shape. Whereupon the broker saluted him with a salam, and asking him the reason of his enchantment. So Ali told him all that had passed, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 718th night, she resumed, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the broker, having saluted Ali of Cairo with a salam, asked him the reason of his enchantment and what had befallen him. And he answered by telling him all that had passed, when the broker said to him, Will not my daughter and the handmaid suffice thee? But he answered, Needs must I have Zainab also. Now suddenly there came a rap at the door, and the maid said, Who is at the door? The knocker replied, Kamar, daughter of Azariah the Jew. Say me, is Ali of Cairo with you? Replied the broker's daughter, O thou daughter of a dog, if he be with us, what wilt thou do with him? Go down, O maid, and open to her. So the maid let her in. And when she looked upon Ali, and he upon her, he said, What bringeth thee hither, O dog's daughter? Quoth she, I testify that there is no God but the God, and I testify that Mohammed is the apostle of God. And having thus Islam, she asked him, Do men in the faith of all Islam give marriage portions to women, or do women dower men? Quoth he, Men endow women. Then she said, I come and dower myself for thee, bringing thee as my marriage portion my dress, together with the rod and charger and chains, and the head of my father, the enemy of thee, and the foeman of Allah. And she threw down the Jew's head before him. Now the cause of her slaying her sire was as follows. On the night of his turning Ali into a dog, she saw in a dream a speaker who said to her, Become a Moslima. So she did so, and as soon as she awoke next morning, she expounded all Islam to her father, who refused to embrace the faith. So she drugged him with bhang and killed him. As for Ali, he took the gear and said to the broker, Meet we tomorrow at the Caliph's divan, that I may take thy daughter and the handmaid to wife. Then he set out, rejoicing, to return to the barrack of the 40. On his way he met a sweet meek seller, who was beating hand upon hand, and saying, There is no majesty, and there is no might, save in Allah, the glorious, the great. Folk labor hath waxed sinful, and man is active only in fraud. Then said he to Ali, I conjure thee by Allah, taste of this confection. So Ali took a piece and ate it, and fell down senseless, for there was bhang therein. Whereupon the meat seller seized the dress and the charger and the rest of the gear, and thrusting them into the box where he kept his sweetmeats, hoisted it up and made off. Presently he met a Kazi, who called to him, saying, "Come hither, O sweetmeat seller." So he went up to him, and setting down his sack, laid the tray of sweetmeats upon it, and asking, "What dost thou want?" "Halwa and dragis," answered the Kazi, and taking some in his hand, said, "Both of these are adulterated." Then he brought him sweetmeats from his breast pocket, and gave them to the sweetmeat seller, saying, "Look at this fashion, how excellent it is. Eat of it, and make the like of it." So he ate, and found down senseless, for the sweetmeats were drugged with bang. Whereupon the Kazi bundled him into the sack, and made off with him, charger and chest and all, to the barrack of the 40. Now the judge in question was Hassan Shuman, and the reason of this was as follows. When Ali had been gone some days in quest of the dress, they heard no news of him. Calamity Ahmad said to his men, "O lads, go and seek for your brother Ali of Cairo." So they sallied forth in quest of him, and among the rest Hassan Shuman the pestilence, disguised in a Kazi's gear. He came upon the sweetmeat seller, and knowing him for Ahmad al-Lakit, suspected him of having played some trick upon Ali. So he drugged him, and did as we have seen. Meanwhile, the other 40 fared upon the streets and highways, making search in different directions, and among them Ali Katif al-Jamal, who was spying a crowd made towards the people, and found the Korean Ali lying drugged and senseless in their midst. So they revived him, and he came to himself, and seeing the folk flocking around him, asked, "Where am I?" Answered Ali Camel Shoulder and his comrades, "We found thee lying here drugged, but know not who drugged thee." Quoth Ali, "'Twas a certain sweetmeat seller who drugged me, and took the gear from me, but where is he gone?" Quoth his comrades, "We have seen nothing of him, but come, rise and go home with us." So they returned to the barrack, where they found Ahmad al-Danaf, who greeted Ali and inquired if he had brought the dress. He replied, "I was coming hither with it and other matters, including the Jew's head, when a sweetmeat seller met me and drugged me with bang and took them from me." Then he told him the whole tale, from ending with, "If I come across that man of goodies again, I will requite him." Presently Hassan Shuman came out of a closet and said to him, "Hast thou gotten the gear, O Ali?" So he told him what had befallen him, and added, "If I know whither the rascal is gone, and where to find the name, I would pay him out." "Knowest thou whither he went?" Answered Hassan, "I know where he is," and opening the door of the closet, showed him the sweetmeat seller within, drugged and senseless. Then he aroused him, and he opened his eyes, finding himself in the presence of Mercury Ali, and Calamity Ahmad and the 40, started up and said, "Where am I, and who hath laid hands on me?" Replied Shuman, "'Twas I laid hands on thee." And Ali cried, "O perfidious wretch, wilt thou play thy pranks on me?" And he would have slain him, but Hassan said to him, "Hold thy hand, for this fellow is become thy kinsman." "How my kinsman?" quoth Ali. And quoth Hassan, "This is Ahmad al-Lakit, son of Zainab's sister." Then said Ali to the prisoner, "Why didst thou, O Lakit?" And he replied, "My grandmother, Delilah the Wily, bade me to do it, only because Zurak the fishmonger foregathered with the old woman and said, 'Mercury Ali of Cairo is a sharper, and a past master of knavery, and he will certainly slay the Jew and bring hither the dress.' So sent for me, and said to me, 'O Ahmad, dost thou know Ali of Cairo?' Answered I, 'Indeed I do, and 'twas directed I him to Ahmad al-Danaf's lodging when he first came to Baghdad.' Quoth she, 'Go and set thy nets for him, and if he have brought back the gear, put a cheat on him and take it from him.' So I went round about the highways of the city till I met a sweetmeat seller, and buying his clothes and stock and trade and gear for 10 dinars, did what was done." Thereupon Ali, said, "Go back to thy grandmother and Zurak, and tell them that I have brought the gear and the Jew's head, and say to them, 'Meet me tomorrow at the Caliph's divan, there to receive Zainab's dowry.'" And Calamity Ahmad rejoiced in this, and said, We have not washed our pains in rearing thee, O Ali. Next morning, Ali took the dress, the charger, the rod, the chains of gold, together with the head of Azariah the Jew, mounted on a pike, and went up accompanied by Ahmad al-Danaf and the 40 to the divan, where they kissed ground before the Caliph. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. And so do I cease my telling of this tale, till it be morrow.